This is the most chaotic and hardest mod pack that I've ever played in my tens of thousands of hours in survival games. We have 5-star enemies, elemental and more powerful bosses, twice as many mobs as base Valheim, and a ton of gameplay mods, a bunch of which not only make the game significantly harder, but also make it more enjoyable and add a bunch of new amazing things for us to enjoy, and it all starts here. And we are back for a second episode of Modded, and while we get started, I want to give you guys a huge thanks for the support on the last video, and let you guys know that I am trying to make it to 2,000 subscribers, and if you guys could help me get there, that would mean a ton to me, and thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. I played this day in a few different sessions, but the first one I started off with a little small solo session, where the idea of it was just to get as many resources like hides, as well as search the surrounding area for dungeons and metal, so we could start our progression into the Black Forest. Luckily there was a few like 2 or 3 star deer outside the house when I logged on. There wasn't much to worry about as far as food for the day and the hides that I was looking for. I then started to head back towards the Black Forest, and I got one of my many experiences from the early game and from today that would give me a sense of how rough the rest of this playthrough was going to be, especially if me and the boys that were going to be playing with me did not adapt to these mods. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, one of the things that this mod pack adds is a bunch of new creatures that are not in base Valheim to each biome. Some of them being bears, foxes, and mages for each thing. So like if you have Great Dwarfs, you have Great Dwarf mages. If you have the skeleton in the swamp, they have skeleton mages. There's a bunch of different mages for each, or there's a different mage for each biome, as well as a bunch of different creatures that are added in from these mods. And you take those things and you combine them with the possibility of them being elemental or being very high level, and these mods can make for some pretty terrifying creatures. On my journey to find a dungeon, I can say it was a success, but it took an entire lap around the mountain near our base to even find a single dungeon. And I ran into so much trouble and so many high level things that could possibly kill me that I pretty much just got to run. I didn't really get to collect much or find any metal in the process. And because I knew the inside of this dungeon was probably not going to be any better, I decided to go ahead and set a spawn point outside and then started exploring the dungeon that I had found. I also found out during this that the stag breaker I had received from our boss fight yesterday wasn't a normal stag breaker, but a very strong lightning variant that you could smash on the ground like a normal stag breaker, but also yield like a two-handed hammer, which is a pretty awesome weapon. And it actually made these skeletons somewhat compatible, as well as the other enemies that I'd find in here, as this thing does a lot of damage, especially in combos, and it kind of helps balance some of these fights that we experience because of these crazy modded creatures. And after a few deaths and a bunch of skeletons, I had found a few cores, which was pretty much what I came for. However, it was not enough to make the full smelting setup, and definitely no extras for portals, which meant when everyone was on later, we would probably have to get a group together and go find another Black Forest. And finally, later that night, we actually had the entire team of everyone we had playing on the server together to play. But I want to introduce you guys to each one of them for just a second, and then we'll get into the absolute chaos of the first night as a full team. So we have me, obviously, who you will be seeing the point of view of, and then we will have Nathan. Nathan is the one who was in our last video. He is the one who put the mod pack together, configured it, and tested it, as well as has the most experience playing Valheim besides me. Then we have Jake. Jake has thousands of hours into survival games and has played Valheim a little bit, but that's not where his strength lies. He's played a lot of other games, and Valheim at this point in time is kind of new for him. His playstyle is a little more on progression and exploration, as well as the combat side of things. Then we have Logan, who is our last team member. Logan, who also has a lot of experience in survival games, but not much into Valheim, has a slightly different playstyle. He plays more building, taming, farming, and PvE side of the game, so you guys will see him around me a lot more because that's what I do, and then Jake and Nathan will be out exploring. But all of that considered, that makes us a pretty good team because we have a bunch of different groups we could go in to accomplish different things that we are all good at. But I do want to remind you guys that Jake and Logan do not have much experience in Valheim in general going into this, and this mod pack is definitely not for beginners in the slightest, so it makes for some pretty insane moments. First, all I had to do was just get them logged in, give them basic sets, and move them into the base by expanding it a little bit, and give them some beds and resources to embark on whatever adventure they would like to start. While I stayed back and started work on getting the base expanded for crafting and storage later in the night. Nathan headed out on foot to find another Black Forest, as we needed more cores to be able to progress at all in any direction. And Jake set out on a small boat in a similar direction, but on the seas, and it wasn't long before beginner Jake ran into some trouble.
Like
so
ocean.
that means you finally made it to the... So that's like, every time you hit a new biome, it tells you that that's the first time you've hit it.
Oh.
So you're actually in the ocean now.
Oh my god.
He already got a serpent.
Oh my god.
Am I gonna
Kill
die?
that shit. No, kill it.
Oh no.
What do I do? What do I do?
You're gonna die.
Jake, you're probably cooked.
Can't believe my boat's gone.
That's what he's. That's.
For 30 seconds. Like that ass.
Now, we wouldn't know it until later because Jake wasn't looking at the stars or its description of what kind of creature it was, but Jake had just encountered a 2-star aggressive serpent, which means it does not let up on attacking, it does not circle your boat at all, it just keeps hitting you, as well it's 2-star, so it's freaking huge and very powerful. Either way, Jake had a small boat and no weapon to fight it with, so he had just lost his stuff, but me and him recovered quickly. We made 2 more boats and headed out to the Black Forest that Nathan had found to help him set up a better camp and start actually exploring it. After setting up camp, we were able to find some copper and we spent our first night in the Black Forest. Nothing could have prepared Jake and I for how insane this night and the following day was going to be. I would love to show you guys all of it, but it was mostly just the death screen, as I probably died 30 or 40 times within an hour. And after about an hour of dying to the same things over and over, even though we had a camp set up, the insane amount of different high-level enemies coming up to us constantly gave us an insane challenge. At this point in the night, it was just me that was still on. Nathan and Logan had logged off earlier at base, and Jake had died and left his body so he would be able to go get it in the morning. However, I have no sleep schedule, so I went right back to get my stuff after dealing with these deaths over and over, and I opted to run all the way back to base after getting my stuff. However, I had collected some cores and some metal, and I would be able to start some of our very early progression into the Black Forest. When I got back to the base, I put down our first portal of the server with a plan to go back to our camp in the Black Forest later and set up another one out there as well. That way we would have some sort of transportation. After getting my stuff back, I wanted to just chill at the base for a little bit and build it up while the boys were off, so that way we could have a good dedicated crafting and storage area for the beginning of the playthrough tomorrow. And after setting up the base for a little bit, I did ultimately go back and set up the portal near our other camp, so that way we would have easier access to the Black Forest tomorrow for whoever was on tomorrow. And then, because Jake is still learning the ropes at this point for Valheim, and especially learning with the mods, I decided to go back and get his kit for him. That way he would be able to log back on in the morning with a fresh start and not get absolutely infuriated by the mess that the Black Forest is in this mod pack. After getting Jake's kit back to base and getting the base set up, I set out to get copper, start building the other crafting stations in our area, specifically the Fletcher table, which is a modded one for bows, and the basic forge, so we could get all of the weapons that we wanted together, and everyone else could get theirs when they got on tomorrow. The rest of the day just consisted of making the base bigger and stockpiling as many resources as we could. That way when everyone got on tomorrow, we could make whatever weapons we wanted, go on whatever adventures we wanted, and start to try and actually explore the world a little bit without fear of absolutely everything. On top of that, we would also start preparing for Elder after we found it, which we are going to have to wait for till another day, because that is going to be it for this episode. A little bit more of a chill episode today, but I feel like I got to show off some of the early chaos of the mod. Next time we will get plenty more Black Forest exposure, as well as some exploration and preparation for the Elder, so stick around for that. And as for today, please let me know if you guys are enjoying this series, if you have any thoughts on it, and definitely let me know if you try out the mod pack and let me know what you think of it. It will be, all of the mods listed will be down in the description below, and if you want the code to use it on the mod manager, I can totally send it to you. It just likes to refresh and not work after a short amount of time. I'm currently trying to make it to 2,000 subscribers, as I said at the beginning, and if you guys could help me get there, that would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do truly hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.